You know the scene, right? That big, dramatic moment in a courtroom movie. The entire case is hanging by a thread, and it all comes down to one person, the eyewitness. They were there, they saw it all. But here's the thing. What if that powerful testimony is built on a memory that's fundamentally flawed? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into.
You can just feel the tension in the air. The prosecutor asks the witness to look around the room. They scan the faces, the camera slowly panning. And then, bam! Their eyes lock onto the defendant. It's the moment everyone's been waiting for.
And there it is, those 5 words. For a jury, that is pure gold. That kind of absolute certainty is just so incredibly persuasive. It feels, well, it feels like the truth, plain and simple. Case closed. But, and this is a huge but, what if that feeling, that 100% certainty, is just plain wrong? What if the single most convincing piece of evidence in the whole trial is also one of the least reliable? Now that is the paradox we're going to explore. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to unpack this major conflict at the very heart of the justice system. The incredible power of a confident witness versus the shocking science of their unreliability. So here's the deal, and it really is a tale of two truths. On one side, eyewitness testimony is ridiculously persuasive. Juries absolutely buy it. But on the other side, decades of scientific research tell us it's one of the least reliable types of evidence we have. That is a massive and kind of scary disconnect. And you know, the problem often starts way before the witness even points a finger. The first domino to fall in so many of these wrongful conviction cases is simply that an innocent person got put in the lineup in the first place. From that moment on, the odds of a terrible mistake just skyrocket. Which brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why are our memories so shaky when the stakes are this high? It's not because witnesses are trying to lie. It's because our brains just don't work like video cameras. To get it, we really need to put memory itself on trial. See, memory isn't this one solid thing that you just file away. It's actually a process, a 3-part process. And here's the catch. An error can sneak in at any one of those stages, and the witness would have absolutely no idea that their memory has been corrupted. So, first up is encoding. This is what you actually notice and process while the event is happening. Then you've got storage. That's when your brain files the memory away, but it's not in some perfect sealed vault. It can actually change or get distorted over time. And finally, there's retrieval, the act of pulling that memory back out, which can be massively influenced by how you're asked about it. Now, the things that can mess with these stages fall into 2 big buckets. You've got system variables, which are things the justice system can control, like how they run a lineup, and then you have estimator variables, which are things nobody can control. Let's start with those uncontrollable ones, because they can taint a memory from the very beginning. So right at the start, during the encoding phase, so much can get in the way. Bad lighting, how far away you were, how quickly it all happened. And then there's something called the weapon focus effect, where you're so zeroed in on the gun that you don't really get a good look at the person's face. And what about pure fear? Well, science shows that while a little stress can sharpen you up, the extreme stress of a crime can actually crush your ability to form an accurate memory. Okay, so this fragile memory has been encoded. Now comes the moment of truth, retrieving it, in the high-pressure situation of a police lineup. And this is where a huge psychological trap is waiting. It's called the relative judgment process. Basically, instead of asking, is this the person I saw, our brain subconsciously asks, which of these people looks the most like the person I saw? It's a really subtle difference, but it's a disaster if the real bad guy isn't even in the lineup to begin with. And this perfectly explains the problem with the classic TV lineup, where everyone's shown at once. It literally encourages that dangerous relative judgment. A much better method is the sequential lineup. You see people one at a time. This forces you to compare each person to your memory of the culprit, not to the other people in the lineup. It dramatically cuts down on mistakes. Now, here's the good news in all of this. We actually know how to fix these problems. Years of research have given us clear, evidence-based rules that can protect a witness's memory and make the entire process so much fairer. And these 4 rules are total game changers. 1, the cop running the lineup shouldn't know who the suspect is. That's blind administration. 2, you have to tell the witness, hey, the guy might not be in here, which relieves the pressure to just pick somebody. 3, the other people on the lineup, the fillers, have to look like the witness's description so the suspect doesn't stick out. And 4, you have to record how confident the witness is right away because that confidence can get artificially inflated later on. So, getting the ID right is huge, but that's only half the battle. How you actually interview a witness to get the details of what happened is just as critical to protecting the integrity of their memory. A typical police interview, with all the interruptions and rapid-fire questions, can actually damage a witness's memory. The better approach is called the cognitive interview. It's designed to work with our memory, using open-ended questions and encouraging the witness to mentally put themselves back at the scene. This helps them access more detailed and accurate information.
The benefits here are enormous. You just get better information, plain and simple. It empowers the witness, it's way less suggestive, and you get a much richer, more accurate story of what really happened, all without the legal minefields of old techniques like hypnosis. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's pretty clear. We can't change the basic wiring of the human brain, but what we can do is change our justice system by finally understanding and respecting the limits of memory. And by putting better procedures in place, we can protect the innocent and make sure that when a witness says, "I'm certain," it's actually backed by reliability. And it leaves us with this one last, pretty sobering thought. When we think about injustice, we tend to focus on the crime itself. But maybe, just maybe, the real tragedy is how often the truth isn't lost in the chaos of the crime, but in the quiet, flawed process of just trying to remember it.